And hello, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. And this is obviously not our usual broadcast time. This probably would have been better done as a recorded video and then uploaded, but you know what? I'm lazy. This is so much easier. So everybody has been having something to say today about Tim Drake, Robin, coming out as either bisexual or bi-curious by way of the Batman Urban Legends #6, which comes out today, tomorrow. I don't know. It's all messed up now. The distribution schedules are wonky. This is probably not going to be the opinion you came here for. In fact, this might, got they straight? Yes. This might be a bit of an unpopular opinion. But I've seen a lot of people say that it doesn't make sense for Tim Drake to suddenly become bisexual. You just don't flip a switch. The character has 30 years of history. No, he doesn't have 30 years of history. You have 30 years of history reading Tim Drake. But Tim Drake is 16 years old, canonically. That was determined in Batman Eternals #1, and it's still on the fandom page for the DC Comics, that Tim Drake is canonically 16 years old. Traditionally, your middle to late teens is when people start exploring and experiencing things that determine their sexual orientation, their sexual identity, their self-actualization. So in those terms, it's actually okay and probably most logical that Tim Drake would be the one character they could focus on to say, yeah, we're going to try a bisexual angle with this character. Fans aren't going to like it because they've got it's this weird comic book time thing. It's like you're reading books in a TARDIS. You've been there for 30 years with him. He's been straight for 30 years, but he's really only been straight for 2 years. He became Robin at 14. He got his driver's license at 14 because his father was in a wheelchair. And he got an exemption because that was, state law in supposedly New York, I guess. But no, he doesn't have 30 years of dating history with the spoiler and with other girls that he's been with. So it's actually okay if you sit back and examine it from that point. Also, this wasn't really all that sudden because they did the storyline where he is having introspection. He is having self-doubts. He's questioning things. Now, again, that was condensed into 3 issues. And for us, that's been, he read it in one story. It's that time thing, but now in the other way around. It was fast for us, but maybe a little bit more meaningful for him. Yes, we've been able to read thought balloons for years. What I find more interesting is that DC picked Tim Drake and Marvel picked Bobby Drake. And Marvel did this completely the wrong way. And it looks like DC learned from all of Marvel's mistakes because they didn't make Tim Drake gay. They made him bisexual. They've already established that he likes girls. So to turn it totally off and say, oh, that was all masking and I don't really like girls when we've been privy to his, thought bubbles and text boxes, that would have been a mistake. So they've just gone the bisexual route and maybe I can do this too. Marvel could have made Iceman gay and had it make sense. Now, they couldn't have gone that way because Iceman was a grown adult, even though the Iceman who became gay was a teenager because of time travel. And again, that gets it all screwed up. It was an Iceman from the past visiting the Iceman of the present, and the Iceman was straight in the present, and even that was brought up as a story. It was a mess. But here's the thing. Iceman is a mutant. Bobby Drake is a mutant. And it's been established in the Marvel Universe that mutants still mutate. Genetically, they go through changes. We've seen Hank McCoy. His genetics changed. Now, he self-implemented it, but they still changed. And he went from just being a regular guy with big hands and feet and a lot of agility to being a fur-covered, beast. We've seen Emma Frost go from being this super telekinetic and psychokinetic person to suddenly metamorphosizing so that she has a body that can become Diamond Heart, which has nothing to do with psionics at all, but it was a shift in her genetics. Well, who's to say that every genetic mutation in a Marvel mutant has to display in another power? There's been a lot of, discussion about, is there a gay gene? And most studies have said, well, part of it's genetic and part of it's environmental. But what if they just said Bobby's mutation mutated a little more, and guess what went with it? His predisposition. They could have dragged that story out. They could have had Bobby going through self-doubt, questioning himself, why am I like this now? Why wasn't I like this before? And having to come to terms of acceptance with his own new self and his new self-actualization. Not only that, but it could have, led to a lot of other mutants considering, hey, yeah, a change in my mutation doesn't mean I'm going to have less power or more power. It might be something different or weird or strange or scary. Maybe, my genetics will change and my hair starts growing up blonde instead of red at the roots. Or maybe, I suddenly, can you imagine Professor X going through a mutation to where he's suddenly genetically susceptible to early onset Alzheimer's, the world's most powerful psychic, going through that kind of a thing? It could be any number of things, but they went with the Jean Grey flipped the switch and Bobby's gay. So that's where Marvel went wrong. That's where DC seems to have gone right. Now, DC, in my mind, seems to have gone right with the introduction of the concept. Now, whether or not they can carry through with it is another thing altogether, because now they've got this new facet of Tim's personality in there. They're really going to have to have some good storytelling, or any, maybe not even explore it at all. If it's established, and it can just be like, a side thing sometimes. It doesn't have to become who he is. Not like with Batwoman, where, Batwoman was gay, and it's like, well, what are you? I'm gay. That's my thing. I'm gay. Because that drove a lot of the story, or a lot of the character rather. The stories were actually good. But when everybody talks about Batwoman, the thing that they talk about is she's gay. That was what she was known for. The CW show even more so. So we will see where Tim goes from here. So far, it's not the awful start that I think people are saying that it is. I think it's going to take a little while for the 30-year fans to adjust to this change in a character that, they didn't want to see change. But I think if you look at it from Tim Drake's perspective, and the time that he's spending and what, you were going through in your life at 16 years old, people change, and people usually discover that in their late teens when they start experimenting with new things. So that's the end of my soapbox. Tim Drake's bisexual. Good thing, bad thing, only time is going to tell, but so far, not a terrible thing. And we will see you later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern when we have Patchwork Comics on, and we hope that you'll be here for that.